Bolivian President Evo Morales as a non-Western leader. A president's leadership competence determines the progressive growth of an economy and a country's social development. The political experience of an individual helps to enhance the standards of living among public members. Nevertheless, this case analysis evaluates former Bolivian President Evo Morales, who resigned after the country's general elections in 2019. Several events occurred before his televised announcement in which Carlos Mesa became the interim head of state. The former president displayed socialist leadership attributes, which included conservative policies at the national level. Many middle-class citizens complained of his radical approach to decision-making and strategy implementation. However, the leader was popular among indigenous communities that practiced farming for centuries. The leading cause of political tension in Bolivia was legal enactment that removed the terms served by a president. Most importantly, the former Bolivian President Evo Morales depicted varying socialist leadership attributes which characterized him as a non-Western leader. As a poor farmer, Evo Morales grew up in a humble background, dependent on agricultural produce for survival. His education was supported substantially by revenue generated from excess harvests. Specifically, his parents grew coca plants that have traditionally sustained vital cultural attributes among indigenous communities in Latin America. It is worth noting that the plant contains an essential ingredient in processing cocaine. This highlights that Morales's social principles of leadership were founded on farming as a vital income-earning activity. In essence, he was determined to recognize and respect his community, which encountered decades of discrimination from the wealthy minority. For instance, he led the Coca Growers Union from 1996 to 2002 after winning the presidential contest. Most importantly, Morales' humble background distinguished his leadership decisions from individuals with Western political values. He was more conservative than his opponents and had stable support from rural communities. Moreover, the former Bolivian president adopted socialism as his philosophy of leading Bolivia. His community had endured long periods of political, social, and economic discrimination. Morales pledged to ensure sustainable and continued support for coca farmers who faced criticism from the U.S. The plant aids in the chemical processing of cocaine, which has negatively affected teenagers and young adults in America, Europe, and the UK. As a socialist leader, he was opposed to westernized policies that sideline the vital socio-cultural significance of the environment among indigenous communities. The former president, for instance, was against arguments put forth inhibiting farming and consumption of the coca plant. This political philosophy was strategic in retaining cultural values among individuals from conservative communities. The country experienced rapid economic growth and political development during his reign as president. Unfortunately, Morales' socialist political ideologies diminished his public popularity, resulting in a televised resignation announcement. In conclusion, it is accurate to state that the former Bolivian president has been unsuccessful with his socialist political philosophy. His leadership strategy entailed conservative and community-valued principles that convinced and persuaded voters of earlier generations, including coca farmers. His non-Western approach to formulating and implementing developmental ideas failed to resonate with voters from the younger generation. Many teenagers and young adults in Bolivia aim to integrate Western values for political progress. Nevertheless, political opponents from the far left have been strategic in integrating democratic values and institutions for political and economic growth. This is to acknowledge a rejection of more presidential terms, which reduced Morales' political powers. Most importantly, leaders who integrate socialist ideas into national political projects face the threat of global isolation facilitated by Western democracies.